Hey everybody, we're going to take a look at a fairly new feature that was put in Photoshop through Adobe Camera Raw, and I'm talking about the new lens blur feature. Are we ready for this? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, this is dedicated to photography and as a photo artist and pushing ourselves to think creatively out of the box. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at this lens feature that we now have. It's been around just, I think, about 3-4 weeks. I might be wrong, but it's fairly new to Photoshop going through Adobe Camera Raw. Now this will work with RAW files or JPEGs in this example here. And it's a really creative feature that we have in Lens Blur versus another feature we have. So here's what I'm not talking about. If you're new to Lens Blur, you might be familiar with this one. And that's under Filter drop-down menu. It's under the Neuro Filter category over here. And when this opens up, it's called Depth Blur, if I'm not mistaken. Let's let that load up. And toward the bottom, yes, toward the bottom down here, you'll see it says Depth Blur. This is not what I'm talking about. That's not a bad feature, but again, the feature I'm going to share with you is a little bit more creative. We have a little bit better control with our lens blur. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my layer, Control J or Command J, so we can do a quick before and after. Let me go to Filter drop-down menu, and you're going to choose this right here called Camera Raw Filter. When we choose that, and again, this opens up this interface. If you go down this list right here, toward the bottom, you'll see something called Lens Blur. If I expand that by clicking on the left side, you'll see that the panel below this is all grayed out. What we have to do is activate this feature that says Apply. Now, when you click on Apply, watch what happens. There's a little visual, I don't even know what you want to call it, like a circle. It's analyzing the image, and when it's done, it will activate the panel below. So it just takes a few seconds for that to happen. Let's scroll up on this. So I'm going to see all these features. Now, it took a guess at what area should be blurred, and it did the greenery here in front. And again, this image was shot with a Canon G1X Mark III. It's a point-and-shoot camera that I use when I go traveling because I hate to lug around a full-frame camera with gear and lenses and that kind of stuff. And I think I shot this at, I think it was around f/16. So that's why the front and the back was pretty much in focus on this shot right here. But to add a little depth, it automatically put a blur in there. Let me go here in the blur panel and just pull that down a little bit so you can see that without the blur, that's what I have. So by expanding this or selecting this blur slider to the right, as I do this more and more, it's blurring that foreground. And I'm going to over blur that so we can see it's really happening here on the web. But again, this is the personal taste. I wouldn't even go this far, but again, it's to help see this through a video. The cool thing is you have different bokeh looks here. This is your standard look. If you click on this, watch what happens to the bokeh effect. See how that changed? If I click on the next one, that changed. The next one, that one's pretty cool. It's got like little circles in it, and in this one. So you've got different visual ones here. You got 5 different settings. Choose the one that you like the best. And again, and then there's what they call a bokeh boost. If I push that all the way to the right, let's see what happens on that. So there we go. So we can actually see big changes there. Okay, so again, too much blur in the front. I would have pulled that down a little bit, but that adds a little depth. But here's what's really cool. Let me push this up. There's a feature here called a pointer. If I click on this to activate this, I can click on my foreground now right here and say, that's what I want in focus. And it blurred the back area. And again, I could play with the bokeh look right here, the different styles. You can see how that's changing. It's hard to see that maybe in the video. And again, I'll push the blur up so we can see it change in the background. Okay, again, you wouldn't go that far, but that's just the power of what's happening here with this feature, which is really cool. The other neat thing about this is, if I push this down a little bit, this is the focus range. You can actually change this by clicking and dragging and sliding this back and forth to adjust that if you wish. I like where it's at, but it can be done. And then down here, if I select this toward the bottom, see what happened to that refinement section. If I click on focus right here, it's like a brush, and I can brush in the area that I want in focus instead. So if I'm missing something or didn't go far enough, I can do that. So just to show you this is working, I'm going to select this rock right here and show you that it's now in focus. Now, why I would do that, I don't know. But the point is, if your focus area isn't 100% what you want, you get to apply this. Again, blur, if I click on blur, it will now blur that back out. So it gives us great control of areas we want blurred, but it does a really good job automatically, in my opinion. So I'm just going to accept this by clicking on OK. Why I want the front in focus and not the back, I don't know why, but I just did. But you can see the before and after. There's the before, and after on that. But let's take a look at a different image here. So I'm not going to save this. And this is a stock image. I forgot the parameters. I think this was shot with 5.6, I believe it was. And I don't know the focal length, if that was shot at 120, 150 mil, I don't know. But let me duplicate that again. And let's use the same feature. Let's go to Filter drop-down menu. Let's pull up Camera Raw Filter. And let's activate Apply there for the lens blur. Let that analyze it. And I'm curious if it's going to pick up the microphone on the far left side. I've never done this before, so this is new to me on this one. And, well, let's go to the blur amount and really push that. Let's go 100%. Well, the mic is focused, so that's good. Let's do the bokeh and boost. Let's really push that up. And let's take a look at different styles for the background here. So that's the standard look. Let's click on this one. See how that changed? Let's click on the next one. And let's click on the next one. Ooh, I really like that one the best. And then there's that one. That's pretty cool. I sort of like that one. So it's really neat that you get to pick the effect that you want. And again, just as a reminder, if you come down to the bottom here and click on focus, and then I can paint in the area if I wanted that more in focus. Why, I don't know. It's just to show you that that's how that tool works. I would use this if the microphone over there was not selected. I would go in and paint over there to bring in that focus. So let's just put the blur back where it belongs. And so that is the feature we have now in Camera Raw, and that is the lens blur feature right here. So again, in the list toward the bottom, when you're done, just click on OK and let that throw that into our before and after, before and after. One other footnote to this, if I wasn't sure what I wanted in settings, I would right mouse click on this and I would have converted this to a smart object layer. And that way, if I chose Camera Raw, I could always double click on the listing below this layer and it would go back to Camera Raw and do that for me. So if you're not sure what that is, let me just delete that. Control J to duplicate this again. Just quickly, I'm going to do this. Let's go back to the layer here. In the gray area, right mouse click, and let's just choose Convert to Smart Object right there. And there'll be a little symbol right there showing me that that is a Smart Object layer. Now let's just go to Filter. Let's go again to Camera Raw Filter. And so we can see the difference. We'll go Lens Blur. Let's apply that. Let it activate that. And I'm just going to push this all the way so we can see things are actually happening to this. So again, the amount, the blur, let's push that up. And this one right there. And we'll pick that bokeh effect. And then just going to click on OK. Let that process. And you'll see what I'm talking about because this is a smart object layer. You'll see that as this applies, and there's my before, after here. But you can see right here, it says camera raw. If I felt I went too far in the blur, I could double click on this and it would just reopen up camera raw. I can make my adjustments, make my changes, whatever. An example, let me just go to light in here and let's just bump up the exposure just for the heck of it, just to see that change, and then click on OK. And it should update. There we go. And so again, I could double click that and go right back in the camera raw. It remembers the settings. I guess that's the point I'm trying to express there. So again, something to consider, making it a smart object layer. Okay, so with that out of the way, just a couple other things real fast. If you have any questions or issues, my private email address is right here at the bottom. It is stephenphotoartist@gmail.com. And again, if you'd like to help support this channel, go to buymeacoffee.com/stephenphotoartist. The links on this will be in the show notes for you. You could donate a $3 coffee. There's other items there. It's all up to you, but I appreciate people helping support this channel because, one, it's not sponsored and it's not monetized on YouTube because obviously it's not a big enough channel right there. Okay, so with that, if you learned anything, if you could do me a favor, and that is hit the like button, and please subscribe if you have not subscribed, and also hit the notification bell. The next time I upload a video, you'll get notified on that. Okay, so with that out of the way, hey, let's get the camera out and let's try this feature in Camera Raw and see what you can do by playing to add some depth with the lens blur feature. Until next time, see ya!